still learning how to stand. You walked away so easy while I was falling again. I asked for time, not answers, but you couldn't stay. You left before I could heal. You left anyway. You left before I could heal, before the pain slowed down. You left me holding questions with no one else around. I was still breaking open, still learning how to feel. You didn't wait for my heart. You left before I could heal. I replay every ending, wonder what I missed, if loving you was ever real, or just a moment like this. You promised me tomorrow, but disappeared today. You left me stuck in yesterday while you walked away. I needed your patience, not your goodbye. I needed your arms, not your alibi. You left before I could heal, before the scars grew strong. You moved on like nothing happened while I was holding on. I'm learning how to forgive myself for loving what wasn't real, but I'll always remember you left before I could heal. I stayed. You left. I kept your picture in my pocket, like a secret I couldn't show. I waited for your call to soften, but you never let me know. I thought your love was certain, like the sunrise every day, but you chose the distance, and I was left to fade. I kept believing you'd return, but your silence said it all. You didn't choose me back, you just chose the space between. You left me with the echoes of what I thought we'd been. I gave you all my heartbeat, but you didn't feel the sound. You didn't choose me back, you just let me drown. I learned to read your messages like a language I couldn't speak. I learned to love your absence, even when it made me weak. I kept replaying moments like they were proof of truth, but the proof was in your leaving and the emptiness of you. I kept holding on to hope while you held on to the air. You didn't choose me back, you chose to walk away. You left my love unfinished, like a song you couldn't play. I gave you all my softness, but you never felt my hands. You didn't I'll find someone who fights and not someone who won't. I'll heal the broken pieces of a heart you didn't keep. You didn't choose me back, so I'm choosing me. I'm choosing me. Love came in softly, barely unpacked. It promised forever, then took it back. I tried to hold steady, you slipped away. Love didn't know how to stay. It wasn't loud, it was slow. Love didn't know how to stay. It just knew how to leave. It touched my heart lightly, then took part of me. I gave it my trust, it gave me pain. Love didn't know how to stay. I planned my heart around you, you planned your escape. I waited for reassurance, you waited for space. I tried to fix the distance, you called it fate. Love didn't know how to stay. I love deeper than you could. Love didn't know how to stay. It ran when things got real. I showed you my weakness. You taught me how it feels to be left without closure, without a name. Love didn't know how to Maybe love wasn't broken, maybe it just wasn't brave. Love didn't know how to stay, but I still survived. I'll love again, just with open eyes. I won't beg affection or replay. Love didn't know how to stay, and that's okay. I stopped explaining how I felt. You never asked again. My voice grew tired of shouting into the same dead end. I learned how quiet quiet heartbreak sounds when no one wants to hear. I folded all my feelings and kept them right here. My heart learned silence before you ever left. I stopped reaching for your name, stopped asking what we meant. I swallowed all my questions and smiled through the pain. My heart learned silence before it learned your name. You spoke like love was optional, like I was easy to lose. I read between your distance and finally saw the truth. I waited for your warmth, but the cold arrived instead. You taught me how to disappear while lying next to you in bed. My heart learned silence in the shape of you. I learned how not to need the things you wouldn't do. I turned my tears into patience, my hope into restraint. My heart learned silence so it wouldn't break. Maybe love isn't loud, maybe it just fades away. Maybe some goodbyes never get the words to say. My heart learned silence. Now I finally hear the sound of choosing myself. After all these years, I don't beg for affection, I don't chase what won't stay. My heart learned silence, and it saved me that way. Quiet doesn't mean empty, it means I survived. I stayed soft when you grew colder, made excuses for your tone. I kept choosing understanding while you felt less like home. I believe love meant patience, even when it hurt. I stayed open, stayed hopeful. You closed the door. I stayed soft while you hardened. I bet you broke away. I loved you through the distance. You never tried to close the space. I held warmth in my I stopped offering the truth. I learned how to make myself smaller, just to fit inside of you. Maybe softness isn't weakness. Maybe love just chose wrong. I stayed soft while you hardened, but I won't anymore. I'm learning how to protect my heart the way I didn't before. I had warmth in my hands while you turned into stone. I stayed soft for love, but I ended up alone. But I ended up alone. Ended up alone. I cried when no one noticed, in rooms that hurt it all. I learned how to breathe through heartbreak without letting myself fall. I didn't rush the hurting, I let it take its time. My tears fell patiently in a straight, silent line. Pain doesn't leave when you ask. It leaves when it's ready. My tears fell patiently while I stayed strong for you. I let the sadness sit with me until it finally moved. I didn't scream or blame, I just stayed awake. My tears fell patiently for love's sake. You never saw the damage because I hid it well. I smiled through conversations while my heart slowly fell. I waited for the moment you noticed I was gone, but you were already finished. I was holding on. I loved you with endurance, that love never returned. My tears fell patiently, night after night. I learned how to survive without a fight. I let the ache stay until it knew my name. My tears fell patiently through the pain. Healing isn't loud. Sometimes it's just staying. My tears fell patiently waited long enough. I stood right where you stopped, believing you'd return. I made excuses for your silence while my heart burned. You drew the line so easily, I crossed it every time. I waited where you ended, calling it love, not a sign. I didn't know letting go was the only answer. I waited where you ended, hoping you'd come back. I kept the door wide open, you never checked the cracks. I stayed when it was over, you left without a sound. I waited where you ended till I broke down. I replayed every memory like it could change the truth. But love doesn't restart when it's one-sided too. I held on to your shadow, you walked into the light. I stayed behind with questions, you slept fine at night. I confused devotion with delay. I waited where you ended, with faith that hurt me more. I loved you past your limits, past your closed door. You stopped choosing us, I never knew when. I waited where you ended, again and again. I won't wait in places where I'm not wanted. I waited where you ended, now I move on. I deserve a love that doesn't feel wrong. I release the version of you I created then. I waited where you ended, now I begin. This is my goodbye. Your words were like a promise, wrapped in satin and gold. You said you'd stay forever, but your forever grew cold. I held your every vow like a candle in my hands, but the flame kept getting smaller in the shifting of your plans. You said love was a guarantee, but you never kept your word. My tears fell between promises where your truth used to be. kept your words like treasures, but they turned into stones. A love you whispered became a broken tone. I tried to make your love real, but it kept slipping through like water through my fingers, like everything I knew. I kept hoping you'd come back, but you were already gone. My tears fell between promises and the empty space you left. I tried to hold your love, but it was never meant. I cried for all the moments I thought were meant to stay. My tears fell between promises, and I'm learning to walk away. I won't chase your words anymore. I won't wait for what's not true. I'll find my strength in silence, and I'll rebuild from you. My tears fell between promises, but they'll turn into my strength. I'll rise from the ashes of your broken intent. I'll find a love that's honest, a love that chooses me. My tears fell between promises, but now I'm finally free. Finally free. You said my name like you meant it, held my hand like you cared. But somewhere between hello and forever, you quietly disappeared. I was building a moment, you were already gone. You left me standing in the middle of everything we weren't done. I didn't see it ending, because it never really ended. You left me mid-feeling, half in love, half alone. I was still believing while you were already home. I never got the closure, you never said goodbye. You left me mid-feeling and called it time. I replay every sentence, looking for where I fell. But love doesn't break with a warning, it just leaves a shell. I kept your words like promises, you kept your distance instead. I was holding the future, you were done in your head. You stopped trying quietly, I kept hoping loudly. You left me mid-feeling with nothing resolved. I was loving completely, you were already gone. I didn't stop caring, you just stopped trying. You left me mid-feeling, but I survived. I learned how to heal without your side. I won't stay frozen in what you broke. You left me mid-feeling. Now I let go. I deserved an ending. I loved you in the quiet moments where no one else could see, in the spaces between your words that always haunted me. I held on to your silence like it meant something more, but love shouldn't feel like standing outside a locked door. I bent my heart around your distance, made excuses for the pain. I told myself this aching was just love with a different name. I loved you where it hurt most, where I should've walked away. I stayed when my heart was screaming, but my lips still begged you to stay. I gave you the parts that broke me and called it devotion, not cost. I loved you without protection. I loved you where it hurt most. You spoke in half promises, I listened with full belief. You never said you needed me, but I stayed